So it appears that WB has canceled some DLC for Hogwarts Legacy. Let's get into it. An unannounced paid DLC for Hogwarts Legacy has been canceled, according to Bloomberg report. Per Bloomberg sources, Warner Brothers was planning a paid story expansion to its Harry Potter adventure game, Hogwarts Legacy, that would have released this year alongside a definitive edition of the game. Interesting. However, WB canceled the DLC this week, allegedly due to concerns that the amount of content was not substantial enough to justify the price being considered. That sounds like WB trying to save some fucking money. That's what it sounds like to me, especially because earlier in the year they went and they canceled Wonder Woman, which they're going to talk about here. So I'll keep talking, or I'll keep going. Warner Brothers has been actively restructuring its gaming division amidst ongoing financial struggles. Earlier this year, it canceled its planned Wonder Woman game, which the Wonder Woman game was in like development hell, it seemed like, for a few years. And I didn't know what kind of game it was going to be. So I wasn't really super excited. And that's not because I don't like Wonder Woman, but it was the talk of it being made came out around when the second Wonder Woman movie came out. And I didn't see that movie. I heard it was not that good though. And I really didn't understand with that movie not doing well. I didn't really understand why they were going after a Wonder Woman game. I just didn't really see the point in it whatsoever. Not saying I don't think it would sell well. I just don't think it would have been big in this climate, especially with DC falling apart the way it did with like the universe they had going on with Zack Snyder and everything like that. So I was kind of confused on why it was even being developed. And I was kind of concerned why it wasn't already just completely canceled as it was. Like they said earlier this year, though, they did cancel it. They also closed the studio making it, Monolith Productions, which RIP, alongside WB's San Diego and Multiverse's studio Player First Games. Multiverse, I played Multiverses a little bit. It was just not that fun to me. It was like, I'd rather just play Smash Bros. That's just how I am. I mean, it was a free game, which was fine. I played a little bit of it with a buddy of mine, and we had a good time with it, but I can see why they stopped developing and stopped caring about the game altogether, stopped supporting it. WB also laid off employees at Rocksteady just last September. That was due to Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad was an absolute fucking mess, and they kind of had to do it. So I don't know what the future of Rocksteady is. I don't really want to talk about that too much, but I'm sure it's just another Batman game because that's what they should focus on. We do recall that WB changed their initiative pretty much. So they're going to be focusing more on single player experiences, more focused experiences, so they don't have so many little things being developed that aren't going to make money, i.e. Wonder Woman, Multiverses, Suicide Squad, those types of games. I remember for a while they were kind of going in the Sony direction where they were like, oh, we want to make live service. We want to get more involved in making just easy money. Another company that finally realized that it's just not something that gamers want right now. Nobody wants another free live service game, especially if it's going to be a game that requires me to buy a bunch of shit all the time. Despite this cancellation, WB has stated repeatedly that Hogwarts Legacy and Harry Potter in general are amongst its most important assets. Having said that, a sequel to the game is one of the biggest priorities at the company as it focuses on fewer and bigger franchises. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, that makes quite a bit of sense. I mean, like I said before, like they are trying to focus more on the more important franchises right now, And with that being said, I would really like to see them bring a Lord of the Rings game back around because Shadow of War had a really tough release, but the game was fucking awesome. So I was really surprised that they kind of just shut all that down and didn't do a third game at all. And to finish the article off, sorry guys, the first game has sold over 30 million copies, which is insane. Like Hogwarts Legacy was a very good game. I reviewed it on the channel. You can go and check that out if you want to. I platinumed it. I loved it. I loved Hogwarts Legacy. I would say my main critique about Hogwarts Legacy was more of a me thing. But besides the fact that there was no Quidditch, which is a huge part of Harry Potter, in my opinion, which is fine. I understand why it wasn't in the game. I don't really understand why it wasn't, but I get their reasoning for it. It is a lot to put into a game. My main problem with Hogwarts Legacy was it was just really soft. It was a really easy, soft core RPG. It was like baby's first RPG. That's kind of how it felt. I can't blame that. I can't really knock the game for that because I play a lot of RPGs and I was hoping it was a little more in depth. I was hoping there would be a little more just skill tree stuff, like more than they had at least. But I understand why it wasn't that kind of game, mainly because the game's target audience was Harry Potter fans. Not trying to be that guy, but I think majority of Harry Potter fans are either really little kids or women. And I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. I really am. My wife is more of a Harry Potter fan though. So it's one of those things where like, that's kind of my point, is like, most girls don't sit around and play video games, and most girls, that's not the target audience, is my point. The target audience it's not meant for like guys like me that play a lot of RPGs. It's meant for girls and kids, and then dudes that like RPGs afterwards. So that's kind of my main critique on Hogwarts Legacy, was it was a little too easy, just a little too easy. Now, that's fine, because they reached their target audience clearly with 30 million copies sold. They reached the target audience, they exceeded that reach, and they got the green light for a sequel, which is really cool. I don't know what WB's plans are with the sequel to Hogwarts Legacy. Clearly, like they said here, it is their biggest priority, or one of their biggest priorities. Does that mean they're going to make a multiplayer game, or is it going to be a full-on single-player game just like the first game? Because another thing that I kind of wanted to see in Hogwarts Legacy was, again, I understand why it wasn't there. It was the first game. It would have been nice to have a 3-player co-op. 2-3 players, make it my own like Harry Potter adventure. Harry Potter has Ron and Hermione with him. It would have been cool to have me and my friends also going around the school. I get it. It's more of a focus game though. Totally understandable. But is that something that they might do? I could see it. But at the same time, if their priorities are shifting to a more focused type of structure, they might just want to replicate what they did with Hogwarts Legacy 1. Because the game sold really, really fucking well. I'm really concerned with what WB is going to do. I know a couple of my buddies that play Mortal Kombat 1, they were pretty upset when they announced the layoffs and that they weren't going to be focusing on any DLC for our MK1 after this first or second season. I don't play MK1, so I don't know, but I know they just released the Terminator. That might be the last DLC character for the game. I know a lot of people liked Mortal Kombat 1. I wasn't the biggest fan of the way it looked. I didn't like the whole tag team aspect of it or whatever, the assisting aspect, but I know a lot of people like the game. And I was surprised that they were like, yeah, we're not doing any more DLC for it. We're focusing on other things. I like to see a company focus on what I like, which is like the single player stuff. But I also don't want to see people getting laid off. And I also don't want to see games like Mortal Kombat 1 or a DLC for a game that I really actually like being canceled so they can focus on bigger things. And with the 30 million copies thing being said, you would think that like they would try to milk Hogwarts Legacy as much as possible by doing a definitive edition with an expansion. I would assume if they release a definitive edition with like a $40 expansion, let's say, it would more than likely be a $60 game, comes with the base game and the definitive and the DLC, of course. You would think they would want, like, I would buy it. I would absolutely buy it. No matter what the DLC is, I can already tell you, I think WB and Portkey Games, I think they earned my money. So I would love to support them in their next attempt at a Hogwarts game. I think that would be really cool. And I feel like they're just leaving money on the table here by canceling it. I just really do. I mean, considering the fact that like we heard rumors back, I don't know if it was a couple years ago or not, that they were developing Hogwarts Legacy 2 and it was going to focus a little bit on multiplayer. I'm not sure if that was true or not. I remember seeing an article about it, and you can kind of assume that it's true just because multiplayer is kind of the way to make money when it comes to games in general. I was kind of surprised that they took their initiative and they canceled everything pretty much to focus more on other things. So that makes me feel like maybe like Hogwarts Legacy 2 is actually more than just a few years out. I could see it being out maybe 2028, 2029, which if that is the case and it doesn't come out until after like 2028, wouldn't you want to kind of milk Hogwarts Legacy 1 and get an expansion out so people can rejuvenate and get back into it and be like, oh, I can't wait for that sequel, and also make money off of it as well? They said they canceled this before there was any type of substance to it. You know, it wasn't really substantial. So that's fine. But like, you still think they would try to release something for the game. I don't even think Hogwarts Legacy has DLC. I think they had like the extra quests that you could get if you were on PlayStation. But other than that, I don't remember there being any other DLCs for the game besides like Twitch drops and everything like that. So I'm excited to see what they do with Hogwarts. I'm excited to see what WB does in the future with their other properties. I'm just not too sure it's going to be exactly what me or fans that are like me are wanting. I'm not sure, because these companies are doing these things now where they're like just in the interest of money. And like, I get it, you got to make your money, but like you look at teams like Ubisoft, you know, like they're they're a fucking mess because they're not properly putting their money in the right places. You know, it's just a series of really, really poor decisions. And I hope WB understands that, like the Suicide Squads, you know, it seems like they understand that, but I hope they continue to understand that if people like certain things, you got to keep supporting them. You got to keep doing it. And I hope they continue to support Hogwarts. Like, I mean, it sucks that the DLC was canceled. I wonder what the DLC would have been. I wonder if like what kind of DLC we're talking about. Like, where could they go? Like, I'm sure there's Harry Potter fans that could probably talk in the comments about this. You know, let me know what you guys thought this DLC would have been. You know, would it have been a Quidditch DLC, you think? Or I don't know, could they get away with selling a Quidditch DLC for $40? I don't think so, but I'm not sure. What are some Harry Potter places that they could have gone that could have interests you Harry Potter fans out there? Let me know in the comments, though. I just wanted to talk about this a little bit with you guys, see what you guys thought and everything. But I know I love this game. This is like maybe a 9 out of 10 game. I don't remember exactly what I gave it on the review. I would say I probably gave it an 8.5 or a 9. But I loved Hogwarts Legacy, and I can't wait for whatever they make next. They have my trust just because of how fun the game was. So let me know what you guys think.